Hi there, nice you're watching. I'm Luz and this is my studio cat Pearl, and we really want to thank you for all your nice comments about Pearl in one of our previous videos. Today I will be showing some pages of my art journal that I've been creating in France last summer. So these pages are all kind of abstract, and it was already a bit the end of our journey. We were going back home, driving back north to the Netherlands. So there weren't much new places that I really wanted to, well, paint like I did here, the chapel with Pearl. And you can already see that I also created some abstract things here. I often do that. The right page feels for me like the main page, the dominant page. It's also the page where a new book starts. It's never starting on this left page. It's always starting on the right. So that feels, well, natural if you do that. It's not the case with every page, of course, but when a page is, well, I have a project on one page, I often do it on the right page because the eye goes from this to that. And then this is a dominant page, the right page, where a new chapter is starting or a new book is starting. So this is the chapel on the hill. And if I make an abstract page on the less dominant page, I often use the colors that are already in this image too. So I use the blue sky, I use this wonderful piece of fabric that's not exactly the same color as the trees in the distance, but it's doing well. It's matching, just like this part of, well, area of paint, and this is a pattern that I could continue with. It's, well, it's quite boring, so I often fill pages with decorations, like patterns, like fabrics, like parts of paints, and this could be even more, but I don't want this page to be overwhelmed by too many things here. It must be the most dominant parts. And this was something from the duck farm I already shown you, but just to give you an idea, the double page is this spread is just a white page. You can't see that anymore, but I love to do the white pages for a double page composition. So these were both impressions from the outer world, from our trip to France. And it seemed that I needed to go back inwards again. I feel longing for creating abstract things and just see what's going on in my inner world. And if there's not too many, well, impressions from, if there are not too many impressions from the outer world, I just tune inside and see what's coming up. And often I feel the need to go back to very simple, earthy colors. I have a burlap page, so I wanted to do a kind of burlap background here with brown, with I think buff titanium and raw umber. And I wanted to add the light blue, powder blue, as a kind of, well, background dominant color. And then just see what's going to happen. And some things are popping up, like patterns here. This text was popping up. This is actually a quote that I read somewhere, and it's about doing courageous things each day. This is a face, a portrait that was popping up. Of course, not in my portrait book, but it's here popping up. I don't know why that is, but I love it, so I keep it there. Some old book pages, some decorations, but I wanted to keep these pages very calm and serene, going back to myself. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, answer the hidden question at the end of it, and subscribe for more art inspiration. On the next page, you see a very layered page with a tree, and this tree is an inspiration of a woman I met, and she's called Nicole Guillen, and she creates these wonderful paintings. And in this page, I felt like I wanted to layer a lot. I've done some things with templates, with stamping. I also used the burlap to stamp some things. You can see it here. I did some patterns here, another text about roots that you can grow if you have good roots. Your roots are strong enough to grow. And then this tree was popping up like a small painting in the midst of all these overlapping patterns. And it just popped up. I didn't have in mind to use this tree as an example, but this came up, I think, right from my subconsciousness. And I really love this work. It's from lava stone, and here in this little square there's a tree. It's made from watercolor paint and enamel, so that's very lovely. And Nicole inspired me to do a page in her colors, like these colors. This page isn't finished, but this is her flyer. So Nicole's flyer, I really loved this background color, and here you can see it. You can see a part of a garden and some things that she's been creating. But I didn't want to use this flyer in the book because I wanted to keep it like it is. I already used her card here, and I integrated it in the page, in the spread. So this one I didn't want to use, but I wanted to feel inspired by her colors, and I came up with this. And I want to add something. Maybe this one I put it inside. I have a dried flower, well, I think it's flowers. I dried them, but this page isn't finished yet. And that's the same with this page. And I also put some piece of paper, straw paper, in between in the right color. Maybe I want to, well, continue this green here, repeat it on this page. And here's a rope from something, I don't know from what it is anymore. And this is a daisy crown thing that I created when we were on this bridge. Let's see where it is. We were in Bruges-le-Roc. We visited that place 3 times. And here on this bridge, I created this daisy crown and I put it in my book somewhere. And when I came at the end of the book, I decided that it was dried up in such a nice way that I wanted to use it. And I broke it in two because it was too long. So I put a bit on this page and a bit on that page. And this page can have something else. But now I am in the final phase of completing this book. I'm finding some items that I still want to use. Like this paper I found at the end. I thought it would be very nice to use it. It's textural. I think it's a piece of kitchen towel or something, some very thin paper that crinkled, and it's very nice. A piece of fabric, another piece of beautiful paper. And this was actually an experiment. I had an image from a magazine and I pasted that on top of the page, and then I put a lot of glue on it, and then I rubbed it and rubbed it and rubbed it after drying, of course, and then you get the image exactly on the book. But it didn't came out very clearly. I will show you another example of doing this technique. This was another page where I done the same technique. It's called transfer technique, and you could do it with transfer glue. I didn't have that. I simply used gel medium. So what you do, the thing you want, you turn around. For example, I want this to be in my book, then I have to put it like this. I glue the page all over, then I put it on the page, put more glue on it, and I leave it to dry for 24 hours. Then the next day I take a tin of water, and then I simply dip my fingers into, and then I rub off all the paper of the, well, this is actually 2 layers, sometimes it's even 3 layers, and then this layer went off, and the middle layer went off, and then the ink is still sticking to the page. What you often have to do is rub it a lot, because it's having a kind of white transparent layer on it, and then I feel it's not bright enough, and sometimes I just paint it a little because I want to see it more clearly. So maybe that's something that I'm going to be doing with this tree shape. I don't know yet. I like it also when it's very subtle, then it's not something put out of a magazine. So it's, you almost don't feel that it's different from the page. So it's very thin layer that stays here. And I love that effect, but I don't want to use it too often. It's taking a lot of time, and blisters on your fingers sometimes. I had a friend, she was really addicted to this technique, and she really went on until she had blisters on her hand. I haven't had that, but she had blisters on her hand from rubbing the glue off. Let's move on to the next page, which isn't finished yet, but I did a lot of work. I had a lot of work on the composition already. Now you might wonder, what is this? This is a board game, and this will be a board game about Pearl's adventures. In my last travel art journal, I dedicated a mini art journal on Pearl's adventures with our mobile home. It's based on the Game of the Goose. I have a copy of it. There are a lot of versions, and I just read that this game was the first commercial board game ever, and it's created for the first time in Italy for the Spanish King Philip. And, well, I don't know if you know the game. If you don't, I explain it shortly. You are a goose, you start here, you throw a dice, and when you stumble upon the geese images, you can throw the dice again. I think it's very funny. There are some other images where, for example, this one is in prison. So then you have to wait until somebody passes, and then you can go on, or you have to go back to one, or, well, there are all kind of things that can be happening. And the goal of the game is to reach this happy, well, kind of a Pippi Langstrom girl. So, but you could, of course, create your own game, like I want to do on this spread. And I want to do a little Pearl game. I have to create some numbers. And of course, I have to make some cat images. But if you want to do it easier, you could also add a list, and then add a red. If you come on a red spot, then you have to wait until somebody is coming. On a brown spot, you can throw the dice, or a white spot. Well, you could make up everything you'd like to, but of course I want to integrate Pearl's, well, things that she really, well, like she escaped once or more times actually. And you can do, like, you have to find your cat back and you can move on. So it would be, I don't know yet what it's going to be like, but I think it will be big fun to create this game. And of course, I want to copy it and take it with us when we are traveling again. So I can't wait to play this cat game. What about you? The next page you've already seen. I was creating this page for another YouTube video, and it's called Using Dried Flowers. I will put the link in the end screen as well, so I don't talk too much about this page. And here we already got back home, And I had the same, like finding my balance again after these pages, the one I started with in this video. I wanted to, well, land a little and rearrange my mind, my thoughts, rearrange my art. So I started again with a very, well, I don't say boring, but calm color palette, like the grayish blue, the burlap. I really fell in love with those colors. So you can see on the next page too that I am integrating colors that are already in the previous page to my next page, but I also always try to add something new. So for here on this page, I wanted to integrate the green of this little card. So here I came from blue and I went over to green to have nice progress in this page. And you can see it throughout the book. If I go back, for example, green and powder blue, and well, here is green and powder blue sky. Powder blue is coming back, and brown is, well, it's not, yeah, it's a bit here. Brown is back on the page. I think brown is a very neutral color, so you can always start with brown. Then we go over to more dark blue instead of the powder blue, and we go over to brown, white, a little green, and here we see that little green coming back in a large amount, in a large part of the page. And I have also introduced pink. So on our next page is the pink again, but also the green is coming back on that page. A darker green is coming into the page. Well, this was a kind of side project, but also you see that the color of pink and white are coming back. Colors are coming back. And here, this was actually how I thought it would look like. So you see these colors are matching these colors as well. The blue is coming in again, and here the blue is coming in again with brown. And here the blue is back with brown combined with green, and so on. So these pages I've been creating at home, and it was fun to use some elements that I haven't used during traveling, and just, well, completed. The fern I found, the portrait was coming up. Sometimes I just love using the palette knife to put in the holes of the burlap. And here I have this amazing mini golf cart. And I had a hole in one. Yeah. Haha. This was in Germany. This was our final day. And the next day we went home. But it was a very nice place. It's called Simonskal, and we've been there already 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. And it was very hard for me to do something with the green of the green card of the golf. So I just did it here a bit, and here I dimmed it, putting this color upon it. And I used a very wild pattern here, but also I overlapped that with a piece of fabric that I found in an old blanket, a patchwork blanket, and these flowers are also coming from that blanket. This is another piece of fabric that I just found, and I found it nice. This is an area that I still can fill in, but I think it's already quite, well, overwhelming. For me, these colors are very, well, dominant, and it isn't too much, and I find it fun to work with a color that I almost never use anymore. Let's go to the final page of this book. And on the final page, I'm already going out of the book and preparing for a next book and preparing for a next trip. I put a little envelope inside with a dried poppy, which dried up amazingly good. It's the one from this poppy field. And you see, after a while, it turns kind of pink, old pink, and I really love that. I also use this color in this page, and you can turn it around so you can still read the continuing text here, and there was another portrait coming up. This is also funny because these are some poppy seed boxes that I found in my own garden. I think this is a complete other flower. No, this was also from my garden. These were yellow and orange poppies, so you see the color wasn't remaining, that wasn't the same. Here you can still see this was a red one, but this, I don't know what this color this was, but it was still in our garden when we went home, and we were away for more than 2 months, and when we left home there were already many of those in our garden, and they were still there waiting for us when we came back. I found a fern that I put in. I wanted to keep the color, the background of the pages very calm, but I also wanted to give it a, well, kind of connection to my very first part of the book. So you can really have a nice overview, like this belongs to that. It could be together. So if you want to read the book on and on and on and on and on, it feels like you are not quitting the book, but you're just starting with it again, if you know what I mean. And here in this envelope, I still have some things that, well, I wanted to keep some memories of the travel, from the trip, places we visited, and I don't know where to put these things. Normally, I don't want to use it for my art journal anymore, but I didn't want to throw it away because these are all the cards and flyers that we got on places we stayed. So yeah, it was really nice to create this envelope. It's very thin paper, so I made it a little stronger, and I still have to make it more stronger. I think it's not enough. I have to glue this a little more, but this is also here on the back of the book, and you see I still have to do a lot on the cover of the book. This is pretty it for so far my art journal. There will be one more video about this art journal when I do all the details, and of course I have to fix the spine because it's broken. It's breaking every time, and yeah, I have to do some little details. You will see it in one of my next videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next video. I see you later. Bye bye.